Now at 9, some area kids get the chance to put their strength to the test. We'll tell you how. Plus, parts of Oklahoma City experienced flooding from overnight storms. And
a shooting in downtown Cleveland marks the latest mass shooting for an already violent 2023. I'm Alexandria Hoff in Washington with the latest on that and what lawmakers here in the nation's capital are doing. Coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Amber Jenkins. Authorities are searching for a wanted man out of Cherokee County, Kansas, who they say is armed and dangerous. Authorities say 61-year-old Charles Amos stole a 2015 Chevy pickup at gunpoint from the owner this morning. They say Amos ran out of fuel in a stolen van out of Oklahoma, then went to a farmhouse in western Cherokee County and stole the truck. The owner of the truck confronted Amos, but the police say Amos then fired 2 rounds from a sawed-off shotgun at the owner. Cherokee County Sheriff David Groves says this picture is what the truck looks like. However, the actual truck has tinted windows. Once again, the suspect is armed and dangerous. If you have any information on him, you are urged to contact the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. Some kids this morning in Pittsburgh had a chance to put on their strength to the test. It was for the Eagle Rising Challenge. This event was a chance for residents to meet and compete with local fire, police, EMS, and military personnel. The goal of the activities was not only to connect with the community, but also show the new generation's essential careers.
Shows the kids that there's something to look forward to, that they can look up to pursue in the future for them to help the community.
Those who didn't want to compete still had fun checking out the military vehicles and equipment. KOAM's Fernanda Silva spoke to other participants at the event, and we'll have more from them later in the show. Meteorologist Sam Lanes joins us with the first look at weather.
Well, today was a lot better than yesterday, a little bit more comfortable out there. Dew points were lower and temperatures were relatively nice. Right now we're looking at a clear radar screen across our area, not expecting any thunderstorms overnight, with temperatures dropping through the 60s to about 62 degrees by tomorrow morning. And looking at the UV index for tomorrow, it's going to be extreme, which means you can be sunburned in a very short period of time, around 10 to 15 minutes. So make sure that you have the hat, sunglasses, sunscreen, and of course find the shade if you can. And looking down the lane, we're going to have some isolated thunderstorms in the forecast, but it's going to get hot again and then maybe unsettled next weekend. And of course, all that means the drought is worsening across our area. I'll have more details on the complete forecast when we come back in just a bit.
Severe storms swept through parts of Oklahoma early this morning, bringing flooded roadways and wind damage. Damage include downed power lines and debris from flood water across the metro Oklahoma City area. Several thousand Oklahonians are reported to be without power. A woman in southwest Missouri today dies from injuries sustained in an ATV crash yesterday. The Missouri Highway Patrol says the crash happened last night. They say 34-year-old Kayla Cole was driving on the northwest 7001 road just south of Highway 52 in Butler. She went off the side of the road before hitting a fence, rolling over, and ejecting from the ATV. One man is dead after being hit by a car on I-70 near Sedalia, Missouri, just after midnight today. Authorities say 34-year-old Damon O'Ray was driving west when he stopped and left his car. 22-year-old Jonathan Kaiser was driving behind Ray and attempted to veer left and hit Ray and his car in the process. Ray was pronounced dead on the scene. A manhunt is underway in Cleveland after the police responded to a mass shooting this morning. Fox Alexandria Hall is in Washington with the latest on that and what lawmakers say is being done to address the rise in gun violence across the country.
A shooting in downtown Cleveland sent multiple people to the hospital Sunday after a gunman opened fire on a crowd of people before fleeing the scene and launching a citywide manhunt. According to police, at least one person is in serious condition.
I am sick and tired of getting these calls late at night.
In New York City, a separate shooting left an elderly man dead and 3 others injured Saturday after police say a man on a scooter went on a random shooting spree spanning multiple boroughs before he was taken into custody.
Our hearts go out to all the families affected by the senseless violence.
For some living in the neighborhood, they say the violence seems to be increasing lately.
You have to have your eyes well open, looking at all sides, because at any minute you could be hit by a stray bullet.
The back-to-back shootings are just the latest, making 2023 one of the most violent years on record. The Gun Violence Archive reports nearly 400 mass shootings have taken place so far this year, taking the lives of more than 22,000 Americans.
It's very scary, that's all I can say. I mean, even there's nothing I can do, probably.
Now, despite the number of shootings, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are voicing optimism that gun violence is decreasing in major U.S. cities and credit last year's passage of the bipartisan Safer Communities Act that called for enhanced background checks for buyers. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
Coming up, how a first-of-its-kind new Alzheimer's drug could be a game changer in treating the disease. A first-of-its-kind Alzheimer's drug has been fully approved by the FDA. Reporter Bradley Mayer has details.
After years of little progress in the battle against Alzheimer's, those affected by the disease have a newfound hope in the form of lecanemab.
If it does make a marginal impact, that could be great. I mean, because it would give the loved one and the family longer to have a better quality of life.
With the FDA approval, qualified patients will receive IVs every 2 weeks.
It goes into the person's system and clears out a protein that builds up in the brain in Alzheimer's called amyloid. So it goes in and clears out the amyloid. And what we think that does then is that there's less deposits in the brain. The amyloid kind of sits in there and causes irritation to the nerves and damage to the nerves, so that leads to thinking and memory problems. So
as Dr. Cynthia Carlson with the UW system explains, it's a way to slow the progression of Alzheimer's, but it's not a final solution.
This is the first of, we hope, future therapies. It's only going to be available for a subgroup of people, so people who have mild cognitive impairment or mild dementia.
Still, it's a significant sign of progress for caretakers everywhere.
It's hopeful. There's not a lot that healthcare can do, and now maybe hopefully they can do more with this drug.
Mike Rohrcast is the executive director of the Fox Valley Memory Project, an organization dedicated to directly working with people who have memory loss, as well as their caretakers.
My mom passed away from dementia a long time ago, and I did not understand at the time what it was.
As someone who's experienced a loss, it's a cause Rohrcast is passionate about.
They may not be able to easily walk from one room to the other, or even know how to get from one room to the other. So it does become more challenging as the disease progresses. Caregivers often experience multiple losses throughout the journey.
There are pills currently available, but experts say none of them get to the root of the problem like lecanemab. Researchers like Carlson are hoping this is just the start for finding a cure.
We have a study we're doing now that is looking at this exact same medicine, but in people who don't have memory problems, who do have changes of amyloid in their brains. We're hoping that we can catch it early, clear out that amyloid, and then use it to prevent Alzheimer's.
Doctors say there can be some side effects due to neurologic changes. They say it can range from mild to severe. President Biden is cracking down on short-term health insurance plans. His administration is proposing a rule that would limit the duration of these controversial plans to 3 months, with an option of a 1-month extension. It will also require clear explanations of benefits. The proposal is part of a series of actions aimed at lowering healthcare costs. It's also a reversal from the Trump administration, which expanded short-term plans in 2018, calling them a cheaper alternative. Meteorologist Sam Lane is next with a complete look at the forecast. And a little later, the extreme heat the U.S. is battling looks to stick around a little while longer.
Well, we had a pretty nice weekend across the 4 states, a little bit on the warm side, but that, of course, is typical for July. Let's take a look outside this morning at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. We started off with some cloudy skies this morning, but as the afternoon progressed, those broke up a little bit, and then we were left with mostly sunny skies and some cumulus clouds in the afternoon. And now as we head towards evening, those cumulus clouds are starting to dissipate just a little bit, and a beautiful sunset shaping up across the area. Let's take a look at the high today. It was 87 degrees after starting out at 64, and both of those were below the normals of 90 and 69, so we were a little bit below normal today and also more comfortable with lower dew points. course, not anywhere near the records of 102 or 56. And of course, we're still way behind on the rainfall now, approaching 10 inches below normal already for just this year alone, not counting the dry spell that we were in last year. You can see quite a bit of flood warnings and flash flood advisory still in parts of Oklahoma due to some storms last night. We saw some video of that earlier, but nothing going on tonight. We're not expecting anything to develop, and that's pretty good news. Nice night shaping up across the area with temperatures in the 70s. In fact, lower 70s up to the north, like in Nevada with 72. Same thing in Fort Scott. A little bit warmer in Miami where there's 78. Same thing over there in Welch. I wanted to show you the dew points because they've been low. Look at this, 50 in Stockton and 50 in Nevada. That is very comfortable air when you get dew points down into the 50s, refreshing even for folks up to the north and east. Although the dew points are going to start increasing over the next few days, and that means the heat indexes are going to start to go up as well. Right now it feels like it's in the 70s across the area, so not too bad. But as we go through time, that's going to change. Tomorrow, it's going to feel like it's in the upper 80s to lower 90s. And then on Tuesday, it's going to feel like it's going to be in the hundreds again. So the heat and humidity is going to start coming back into our forecast. Unfortunately, we're not going to see rain chances increasing, or they're going to be low for the next couple of days and just on an isolated basis. Rainfall amounts, if you do get a thunderstorm, it'll be on the light side, generally around a tenth or less, maybe an isolated 3/4 of an inch, but I wouldn't hang my hat on that as we're looking at a dry pattern. Unfortunately, this northwesterly flow pattern, we were thinking we're going to be more active, but there's just not a lot of energy coming down with these storm systems. Either they're moving toward the south and missing us to the south, or they're missing us to the north. And so we're kind of in between, and that's the way it looks like it's going to stay for most of the forecast period. So temperatures tonight are going to be very comfortable, generally in the low 60s, maybe some upper 50s up towards the north. And then as we head through tomorrow, partly cloudy skies with highs near 90. And then as we go into Tuesday morning, here comes a wave coming down from the north and west, isolated storms with lows near 70. And then Tuesday afternoon, highs around 90. And then as we go into Wednesday morning, quite warm with southwesterly winds and lows in the 70s. And then it really heats up on Wednesday afternoon, a high of 96. And then storm chances start to increase a little bit as we go into Thursday and Friday, but the chances are not that great, and temperatures are going to be generally right around normal. So we can't really complain too much about the temperatures, but we can complain about the fact that we are in a dry pattern, and it looks like it's going to stay that way.
Well, hopefully the rain comes through for the 4 states.
Hopefully so.
Thank you. Sweltering heat is covering parts of the U.S. today, with forecasters warning of more extreme heat throughout the week next week, or even longer. Fox Lucas Tomlinson is in Washington with the latest on what doctors say you should know to stay safe.
Millions of Americans are expected to remain under excessive heat warnings again this week. The National Weather Service issuing alerts for parts of Texas, Florida, and Arizona, as well as the Pacific Northwest.
We're pushing 116 by the time we roll into Friday and Saturday.
Last week, the planet unofficially marked its hottest days on record, with many U.S. cities topping triple-digit temperatures. This week, the sweltering heat is expected to last through the next several days, with the possibility of extending to mid-month. In Arizona, children took to the local ice rink to get a nice cool break from the heat.
I feel like a melting popsicle. Same.
In Ohio, farm workers started work extra early to avoid exposure to dangerous temperatures.
We'll try to be done out of the fields by noon at the latest. Some days we can, some days we can't.
During heat waves, doctors say it's best to stay indoors, but say if venturing outside, it's important to stay hydrated and avoid dehydration.
Some of the signs and symptoms can include headache, muscle aches, muscle cramps, some nausea, and maybe even dizziness and lightheadedness.
The White House says these record-setting temperatures are an example of climate change and are expected to announce new measures to protect communities this week. At the White House, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
Coming up, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer calls for an investigation into a popular energy drink brand. The Powerball lottery jackpot has spiked to a staggering $650 million. It's the 10th largest Powerball prize in history. There are no winners after yesterday's Powerball drawing. The next drawing is tomorrow. Lottery officials say the prize has a lump sum cash value of just over $328 million. The winner also has the option of taking payments over the course of 30 years. There has been now 34 drawings without a winner. The clock is ticking down towards a possible strike by the parcel service workers. More than 300,000 workers are threatening to walk off the job on August 1st if their union cannot work out a new contract. UPS workers in Minneapolis held a practice picket. Negotiations fell apart earlier this week, with both sides blaming each other for walking away from the bargaining table. The union says part-time salaries remain a striking point, along with safer working conditions.
We're working to get even stronger language and stronger contracts for our people so we don't have people dying on the job every year from heat exhaustion. We need air conditioning in trucks. We need strong wages and benefits to uplift the middle class.
UPS says it's encouraging the team masters for the union to resume negotiations. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is calling the Food and Drug Administration to investigate the energy drink known as Prime. YouTube influencers Logan Paul and KSI launched the drink last year, and it's became extremely popular among teenagers. But lawmakers and health experts say Prime contains dangerous levels of caffeine, 200 milligrams per 12 ounces. That's the same amount of caffeine in about a half a dozen Coke cans or nearly 2 Red Bulls. Company officials say Prime is clearly labeled not recommended for children under 18. Up next, it's a bad day for one robber in Atlanta who didn't get the attention he wanted. Some things don't always go as planned in your day, and for one robber in Atlanta, his plans to rob a nail salon were foiled. In this security cam footage, you can see him come in demanding people to give him their money with an apparently disguised weapon, but he's just flat out ignored. The suspect did grab a woman's phone, and she nonchalantly walked out the door without surrendering money. The robber's big heist then became a big bust. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Still ahead, we'll check out the Eagle Rising Challenge and hear from the kids who showed off their strength. Thanks for joining us for the second half hour. I'm Amber Jenkins. In Pittsburgh, some kids got the chance to put their strength to the test this morning. It was for the Eagles Rising Challenge. The event was a chance for residents to meet and compete with local fire, police, EMS, and military personnel. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has the story.
Serving for 18 years, Warrant Officer Jessica Brent took her daughters to the Eagle Rising Challenge.
I feel like that they will be public servants in the future as well if they get this experience and exposure.
The goal of the activities was not only to connect with the community, but also to show the new generation's essential careers.
It instills like a positive climate throughout the community, and then also for future, if that's something that they want to do, then we raise up public servants for the future as well. So we build our future.
7th grader Isaac partnered with his little sister for the competition. For him, this was a training for his dream job.
I want to protect the U.S.
It is essential for the kids to look up for the ones that help protect the community and keep it safe.
The competition included 6 activities. Crawling, plank, and team run were some of them. Participants also joined a grenade throw competition simulated with water balloons.
And those who did not want to compete could still have fun, checking the military vehicles and equipment.
I wanted to look at the military trucks and them doing the parkour stuff. I like that one because have like all these windows and a big truck.
In Pittsburgh, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
First responders and Army officials also participated in the competition. The Eagle Rising Challenge was organized by the U.S. Army Reserve's 1011 Quartermaster Company. It's a good time to teach an old dog some new tricks at the Jasper County Youth Fair. The Youth Fair is hosting a multitude of animal shows this week, with this morning's focus being man's best friend, dogs. Dogs aren't the only animals getting the spotlight either, though. The Jasper County Youth Fair hosted events for horses, rabbits, and livestock as other adorable animals. The dogs aren't the only for show, though. They love to have some fun, too.
Probably run around and play with others.
Contest games were also available. You can check it out. The fair continues throughout the week. And some folks in Southeast Kansas are putting their vocal cords to the test. The Pittsburgh Public Library this afternoon hosted an All Together Now sing-along event. The program lets music lovers get together and enjoy an afternoon of fun by singing along to their beloved golden oldie songs. The sing-along leader, Jay Knoll, says the group singing like this can be good for your health.
They've even done studies that show that people who sing, they've taken studies of their cortisol and their immunity before they sing and afterward, and their immunity goes up after group singing. So that's one thing we'd like to happen.
The sing-along was free and open to anyone. Sam Lane joins us.
All right, thank you very much. It's been a beautiful day across the area, lower humidities and making it feel more comfortable out there. Right now, radar is all clear, and it's going to stay that way through the morning hours as we go into tonight. Temperatures dropping through the 60s down to about 62 degrees by morning. But tomorrow, the sun is going to be coming out, and the UV index is going to be really up there in the extreme category, 11 on the scale up to 12, which means the burn time will be about 10 to 15 minutes. So definitely have your hat, sunglasses, sunscreen, find the shade, and limit your time outdoors. And looking down the lane, we do have some isolated thunderstorms possible, but mainly the heat is going to be coming back unsettled next weekend. And of course, all that basically means the drought is worsening across our area, and I'll have more details on that in just a little while.
President Biden is on his way to a high-stakes NATO summit, but first he's stopping in London to meet with King Charles. Fox News White House correspondent Jacqueline Hinch has the latest details.
President Biden's meeting with King Charles will focus on climate, but Biden's bigger lift, both in London and again in Lithuania at the NATO summit, will be justifying his decision to provide cluster bombs to Ukraine, which are banned by more than 120 countries.
We're not signatories to that agreement, but it took me a while to be convinced to do it. But the main thing is they either have the weapons to stop the Russians now keep them from stopping the Ukrainian offensive through these areas, or they don't, and I think they needed them.
A key factor in the decision, Russia has been using cluster bombs on Ukrainian soil since the beginning of the invasion. The land will need to be demined anyway. Ukraine also committed to a post-war cleanup, and U.S. officials point out they have huge incentive to mitigate risks to their own people. But the move drew opposition from NATO allies Canada, Spain, Germany, and the UK, as well as some congressional Democrats.
I have some real qualms about it. If there's an international prohibition and the U.S. says, but here's a good reason to do something different, it could give a green light to other nations to do something different as well. So it causes me some concern.
They're dangerous weapons, and this is a line that I don't believe we should cross.
The Russian Foreign Ministry was also quick to seize on the White House position from last year.
There are reports of illegal cluster bombs and vacuum bombs being used by the Russians. If that's true, what is the next step of this administration?
We have seen the reports. If that were true, it would potentially be a war crime.
Another focus of Biden's trip will be convincing Turkey to allow Sweden into NATO. Biden's expected to meet with Turkish President Erdogan, and part of the discussion will be balancing requests for fighter jets from both Turkey and Greece. Biden's last stop will be a trip to new NATO member Finland. In London, Jackie Heinrich, Fox News.
After weather, some swimmers get together at Joplin Schifferdecker Pool to qualify for a championship. We'll check it out.
Well, we had a great day across the area. Lower dew points, warm temperatures, lots of sunshine. I wish we had more rain, but unfortunately, we're going to have to wait a little bit longer on that. Right now in Seneca, Missouri, the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, a beautiful evening shaping up out there. You can see Venus there just above one of the towers right there. Beautiful evening shaping up across the entire region. We did make it up to 87 today after starting out at 64, which was actually below the normals of 90 and 69, not near the records of 102 or 56. And unfortunately, there we are, 9.6 inches behind on rainfall for the year. And that's not counting the amount of rain that we were behind at the end of last year. So we're seriously in a drought situation, and unfortunately it looks like it's going to be around for a while longer. We do have some flood warnings though for Oklahoma and western parts of the state. They've been enjoying lots of rain over the last month or so actually, and we definitely need some of that into our rain bucket. Temperatures right now are very comfortable. 70 in Fort Scott and in Nevada, 72 in Iola. Meanwhile, it's 77 in Chanute, as well as Miami, Veneta, and Welch for some of the warmest readings. But look at the dew points. They're way down there. Definitely comfortable out there with dew points in the 50s, 54 in Stockton and in Nevada, and 64 in Cassville and Bentonville. And the dew points are going to get higher as we go through the next few days, and that means the muggies are going to come back. But right now, it's feeling pretty pleasant out there. And if we take a look at the feels like, it feels like it's in the 70s right now, but as we go through time, starting tomorrow, we're going to see temperatures feeling like in the upper 80s to lower 90s, and then on Tuesday, it's going to feel like it's in the low 100s again. So the muggies and the heat and humidity are definitely going to be coming back. Rain chances, though, are going to be low for the next 36 hours, just isolated storms possible here and there. And when you do get a thunderstorm, it will be on the light side, generally around the 10th or less. An isolated storm might produce a heavier downpour, but unfortunately, we're going to have to wait for a longer period of time before we get a decent chance of rain in here. We have a northwesterly flow pattern setting up, and typically that means we get lots of chances of thunderstorms. But unfortunately, these models are not doing a very good job of predicting these. But as pieces of energy swing by, we start to get these thunderstorms developing in the evening and overnight hours, moving into the early morning. And unfortunately, they've been missing us down to the south and also up towards the north. So we're kind of stuck in between. Temperatures tonight are going to be in the 60s across the area. Then tomorrow, temperatures in the upper 80s to around 90. And then as we go into Tuesday morning, here comes one wave. Again, most of that's going to miss us with temperatures in the 60s. And then Tuesday afternoon, we're going to see highs in the low 90s. And then on Wednesday morning, we're going to see lows only in the mid 70s. And it's going to be pretty hot on Wednesday afternoon with a high of 96. And then scattered thunderstorms start to come back into our forecast Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But again, the chances are going to be low with temperatures in the 90s, maybe dropping down into the upper 80s next weekend, which is typically normal for this time of year. But what's not normal is the lack of rainfall.
We get that rain. Thank you. No way to beat this heat other than to go out and do some swimming. The Berserker Swim organization today hosted its annual swim meet at Joplin Schuffadecker Pool. More than 500 swimmers are taking part all across the Midwest. The meet offers an opportunity for the participants to qualify for an upcoming long course championship held later in the month. And if you don't recognize the Berserker Swim organization, it's because there's been some changes.
So we changed the name of our team. We used to be Jasper County Killer Whales, but I've always been obsessed with Vikings, and I have a really great Viking costume. We changed it to Berserker, made the team Viking themed, gives me an excuse to dress up. Plus, at the meet, one of our special things we do is we have mystery heats, and if you win, you get a helmet with light-up horns, and the kids absolutely love it.
Organizers say the Berserker organization caters to swimmers all ages from preschool to high school. They also provide programs that cater to various skill levels, including swim lessons and training for elite level swimmers. Coming up in sports, a Joplin Outlaw baseball player has won the Mink League Home Run Derby. Plus, the Kansas City Royals pick up a big win just before the MLB All-Star break. We'll go over the highlights next in sports.
So we changed the name of our team. We used to be Jasper County Killer Whales, but I've always been obsessed with Vikings, and I have a really great Viking costume. We changed it to Berserker, made the team Viking themed, gives me an excuse to dress up. Plus, at the meet, one of our special things we do is we have mystery heats, and if you win, you get a helmet with light-up horns, and the kids absolutely love it.
Well, tonight is the Mink League Home Run Derby, which is being held at the Mink League All-Star Game this year in Chillicothe. The Joplin Outlaws outfielder William Kelly participated, and I think fans will find out he did pretty well. William Kelly dominated this event, and now it's official. Kelly is your Mink League Home Run Derby champion this year from the Joplin Outlaws. Kelly hit 9 home runs in the final round of the Derby to claim the prize. Kelly was selected to be in the Mink League Home Run Derby, but not the Mink League All-Star Game. Here's what Kelly had to say about his performance.
I was just expecting to come out just like, I wasn't expecting to win at all. I was just come in here to see how many I can hit. Then during BP, my swing was feeling a little bit off. So I went to the cage and just hit a few. Then as soon as I got in the Derby, it just felt so much more smooth and more fluent. It was kind of like, I was thinking that don't try to do too much. Just go up there and be me. Just swing the bat and just be more fluent instead of trying to force it out. Just let it happen. Let my hands work, and everything just worked out.
And speaking of the Mink League All-Star Game, it was followed up after the Home Run Derby. 9 players from the Joplin Outlaws are being represented this year. 5 players from the Nevada Griffins are also in the game. Joplin Colton Reynolds got the start in the outfield, while Nevada's London Penland and J.C. Berry got the start in the infield. At the moment, we're still in progress, but the Mink League South All-Stars lead the Mink League North All-Stars 7-1 in the 9th inning in Chillicothe. The 2023 MLB Draft kicks off tonight. The Kansas City Royals and the St. Louis Cardinals both have first-round picks in this year's draft, and both teams are looking for young talent that can one day be in the lineup in the big leagues. So here they are, the newest members of the Kansas City Royals and the St. Louis Cardinals. Kansas City has the 8th overall pick. They selected a catcher, Blake Mitchell, out of Sinton High School in Texas. And then the St. Louis Cardinals are looking for some help in the outfield, even though they may need it on the pitching side. They will take Chase Davis out of the University of Arizona. The 3rd and the 10th rounds will continue tomorrow afternoon. Cardinals at the White Sox in the windy city of Chicago. We start things in the bottom of the 4th inning. William Contreras takes this ball deep out to left field, and it is out of here. Cardinals tie up the game 1-1. So we'll flash forward to the 10th inning now. 3-3 game. Paul DeJong keeps it fair. The Cardinals are going to take the lead off of the RBI double by DeJong. So last chance for the White Sox now. Tim Anderson at the plate, and he goes down swinging. Cards hang on. They beat the White Sox 4-3. Royals at the Guardians today. Now check out this first play here by Freddie Fermin, the catcher. Ricochets off of it, and he catches it for the out. Unbelievable play there by Freddie Fermin. Definitely a top play there by SportsCenter. So now we head to the top of the 6th now. 2-1, Royals will lead it now. Michael Massey will be at the plate, and he'll drive this ball deep into right field. Kyle Isbell will round the bases, and he will score. Royals will now lead it 4-1. Now we flash forward to the last play of the game right here. Look at this catch by Kyle Isbell, showing off the legs, and he makes the diving grab. Royals win it 4-1 over Cleveland. The NBA Summer League is in full swing, which means you'll probably run into some familiar names. Former Kansas Jayhawk Grady Dick and former K-State Wildcat Marquise Noel share the same locker room with the Toronto Raptors. However, on Sunday afternoon, the Raptors hit some bad luck in Las Vegas, well, like most of us. The Raptors lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers 99-76, but Grady Dick and Marquise Noel both had solid performances. Dick scores 11 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. Noel, on the other hand, scores 5 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists. And I know a lot of people are already talking about Cordell Tinch is in the USA Track and Field Outdoor Championships. He's already qualified for the finals. And at 9:53 approximately, he will try to take the #1 crown.
Nice. Well, I know he's going to represent us well.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back. A man who gave his life for his country nearly 80 years ago in World War II finally received long overdue honors and a proper burial in Garden City, Kansas on Friday. Army Sergeant Gregory Knoll was declared non-recoverable in 1951, but his remains were identified through advanced DNA testing in January. Austin Moran was there at the ceremony, where most who attended were not old enough to have met Knoll, but came to honor him and help bring closure to his family.
Though Sergeant Gregory Knoll died decades ago in Germany fighting in World War II, many still came to his funeral this afternoon.
To honor the family, to repatriate the remains and give him the honor that he deserves as a fallen veteran. Important, very important. Can't express it enough of how important it is.
Dozens came to support a family member that they never even knew.
It's only maybe 1 or 2 people here who actually knew Gregory. The rest of us have just heard about him.
Great niece Patty Knowles says she still can't believe he's back.
It was shocking. It was shocking. It's like, you're kidding. They found him.
Most are too young to have known Sergeant Knoll, but say they're just thankful he's finally home.
It feels like the closure of a chapter.
You see today, it's very much closure for him. Everyone's happy, glad to see he's home.
Up next, from going across the multiverse to a chilling true story based on child trafficking, we'll break down the movies stacking their claim in the box office. 2 very different movies cracked the top 5 at the weekend box office. David Daniel has the early estimates for the top 5 films in theaters.
So wait a minute, there's an elite crew with all the best spider people in it?
Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse fell to 5th place. $8 million put the animated sequel at $358 million domestic. More animation in 4th place as Elemental took in $9.6 million. Sound of Freedom, based on a true story about child trafficking, opened in 3rd place with $17 million.
Archimedes was fascinating. Fight! What is displacement?
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny lost the top spot, dropping to 2nd on ticket sales of $26.5 million.
You told me that when I was 10. I was in a coma, but I don't remember being sick.
We're ready to forget.
Insidious: The Red Door, the 5th and supposedly final Insidious movie, debuted number 1 with $32.7 million, double what the horror film cost to make. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
All right, well, that's our time for tonight. Thank you for joining us. We'll leave you with a video of a surfing seal riding some waves in San Diego. Wish that was me. We'll see you right back here next time. Thank you for making us a part of your night.